everyone, Kat here. We are going to be talking about the emotional side effects of drugs. Let's just straighten the top up a little bit here. Hi Claire, hi Julie. How are we doing? Nice to see you. So as you know, I've been having a bit of a tough time in the last couple of weeks, so this one almost didn't happen, but I just, after all your posts today, honestly, you guys are so incredible. So hi there. So it's just, I don't know, yeah, you inspire me so much, so thank you so much. And also the subject of this one came out not because of what I've been going through the last couple of weeks, funny enough, but because when we went through the kind of whole question and answer thing, the new thing on stories, someone asked how, hi Dr. Fertility, thank you. Someone asked how I dealt with the emotional side effects. And yeah, it just seemed really, really apt because if I'm honest, and like I've been having IVF and treatment for about 4 years, I guess now, and I've never really felt like I had any massive emotional side effects. And like if you saw my post, I don't even bruise that much, I didn't bloat that much, and it always kind of bothered me a little bit because I felt like I almost wanted to see something happening or a reaction, do you know what I mean? But the emotional side of things, the emotional side of things, yeah, I was quite happy from that perspective, I guess. Although you could go down the same kind of route of thought with whether or not it's affecting you. But yeah, I always felt quite happy that I was quite balanced and I could deal with this and it was all good. And Bob didn't have to put up with too much. But over the last couple of weeks, honestly, it just all went a bit tits up. And I walked into it blindly because I was prescribed microgynon. Now, I used to be on microgynon for about 10 years on and off when I was much younger. And it didn't bother me at all. You know, I had friends who went on microgynon or, you know, went on the pill when they were in their late teens, early 20s. And I know how significant the side effects can be because I know that I had a friend who the first pill that she went on, which I'm guessing might be, was microgynon, and she felt suicidal on it, like as a teenager. And the second one that she went on, and this sounds kind of funny, but it's not, especially when you're a teenager, but it made her really hairy. And so she had to go through 3 or 4 different pills to get the right one, whereas microgynon was fine for me. Here we go. You're the same during treatment. You often feel guilty because you don't have side effects, but I think on reflection, they do affect you, but it's in the drugs. Is it the drugs or the process? That's a really interesting point. Sometimes you think it's difficult to tell the difference. And I think that's what had happened to me over the last couple of weeks because I started taking the microgynon the Wednesday or Thursday before I went to Barcelona. And if you've been following me, you'll know that I was in Barcelona for work. And my flight was delayed, I forgot my pill, like it was all pretty stressful on the day of going. I landed in Barcelona late and I found out that my nana had passed away, which when you're tired and emotional and stressed anyway, you know, she was 96, she had an amazing, amazing life and she wanted to go and join my granddad. So, and it wasn't unexpected, but obviously it's still really, really sad and you feel really far away from your family when that happens. And then I had to deal with being in Barcelona and it was really quite tiring. I knew I was going to get emotional on this one. I knew it. But yeah, so then I was in Barcelona, which was stressful and amazing all at the same time, but I really couldn't wait to get home. I felt exhausted. And it wasn't until later that week that I really started to realise that I was quite teary, like more teary than normal. And I couldn't get through a day without crying. And like at ridiculous things, I can't even think really what, but thanks everyone. But on Sunday I went to my nieces, 2 of my nieces had a dance competition. And I knew I was going to cry, and I did cry. Not when they were on stage, you know, they were fabulous and amazing. But it was more when some of the older girls were on the stage. It's not that I don't want it, like I love it. And I think, you know, it's good to kind of show all the sides really. And I know that you guys are all on my side. So this is, you know, if I'm going to talk about it, this is the place I'm going to. And I hope that it makes you all realise that, you know, it's not all roses all the time, like we know. But yeah, it's okay to kind of feel like that. But I So at the dance competition, yeah, it was when the older girls were on the stage, really, and that really threw me. But I just thought, Jesus, I remember being, like, and I didn't even really do ballet and stuff, but I remember being one of those girls, you know, in your kind of mid-teens, and it really upset me because I thought, how am I not one of those girls, or one of those girls isn't my daughter? Do you know what I mean? It really, and so I cried through a good couple of the songs. Fortunately, it was dark. But I just couldn't trust myself. I knew that I was going to be a mess always. And so going back to your point, Keely, is like, how do you know whether or not it's the drugs or whether or not it's everything else? And I don't know how you know, really. What is everyone else's experiences? I know that how I dealt with them generally, and kind of especially from a work point of view, was I numbed everything. And really I realised this Monday, Tuesday, I just numbed everything. And on Tuesday I was at my lowest point. And I also got bad news that my treatment was being delayed by a month, which really was not what I wanted to hear, because I'm all geared up for August, and now it's going to be September because of a piece of information that people omitted to tell me. And like, honestly, clinics manage expectations, doctors even manage expectations. It's so easy to, tell people facts and things that are happening and holidays that are being taken. Manage expectations. Some of this disappointment does not need to be the case. So that was a really stressful day, and I ended up having conversations with people, not people from my clinic, I need to say this, and they told me that I was uptight, and I thought, of course I'm fucking uptight, but actually I was sat next to someone who I really trust implicitly, and they said that I handled the conversation really, really well, and that I wasn't, I was uptight, of course I was distressed is what I was, but telling me that, I don't need to hear that. But anyway, let me go back a little bit. So, your PMS can be really bad, so quite scared how you will react when you start the process. And the truth is, I think, give yourself a few days, and this is my recent experience, other people will have good experience as well, but it might not do anything particularly, but give yourself a few days to kind of let it settle in and see how you're feeling. If you're someone that tells people, tell them, like I had to have a conversation with my husband. I'm like, I can't help how I'm reacting. Like I feel ridiculous, and he's amazing. Like we all know this, Bob Legend, but still, I feel ridiculous some of the things that I think and say, and I've been terribly paranoid, and and I do, but sometimes it takes you a little while to realise actually it's the drugs. You forget. So yeah, give yourself a few days, be conscious of it, and allow the people around you to kind of be conscious of it as well, and don't be too hard on yourself. And here we go, it's the whole process. You cried at Ed Sheeran concert during a photograph, that is one, as previously he had a clip of an embryo being fertilised, all the way through to that baby growing up and falling in love. Really, did he? Gosh, that's, well, I suppose, to anyone else that's kind of normal and a lovely thing. Of course it's a lovely thing. But yeah, I can totally see how you would cry. I might cry if I'm not in treatment and not any drugs at that. To be honest, get me on the right day. You definitely recognise the numb feeling. You also think I downplay symptoms to ensure I get through the drugs. Definitely. And it was mentioned about me stopping the microgyne. And I was like, no, why would I do that, And also to swap it to a different one was something that I suggested, because I was on Marvelon for a couple of weeks before Christmas, like at the beginning of my last round, and that didn't seem to bother me. But this, with the delay, it would have ended up that I would have been on it for like 6 to 8 weeks, and I just was not down for that. I don't think Bob could have dealt with that. I don't think any of us could have dealt with me on that. So I've stopped it since, actually, and I think it is still a bit in my system. I still feel a bit out of sorts, but hopefully we are on the up. Really good point. You thought FET prep made you anxious and depressed, but this time you were absolutely fine apart from tiredness. You were in such a calm, happy, healthy, ready place. Yeah, and it's true. You just kind of get on with it. But yeah, it is about being in a good place. And in a good place, I guess, because if you are massively stressed and there's loads going on, you might not even realise, actually, that the drugs are making you kind of extra agitated or extra emotional on top of that. So the less kind of you can have going on around you the rest of the, or you know, kind of the rest of, let me start that again, the less of the rest of the stuff going on around you, if that makes sense, it might help you to identify, you know, that actually it is the drugs making you feel like that. Sorry you're late, it's okay. Nice to see you though. You cried at a lady and her elderly mother in a cafe at the weekend. There's sometimes things just get you, don't they? They really do. You haven't even started your drugs yet. You're just a sensitive soul. That's okay. We all have days where things like that can get us. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with crying. It's just the fact that I just couldn't even get through a day without crying, or and I thought I managed it a couple of times and then, oh no, it happened. You cried last week because hubby, oh my goodness, oh, I love this. Oh, you cried last week because hubby hadn't cut you any watermelon. That almost makes me cry. The pill is the devil, but I totally can understand how you felt at that moment. It is silly, but it means so much to you because everything is heightened. So don't worry. You're definitely guilty of numbing the process and soldiering through. But then at some point it all gets too overwhelming and your poor husband has to deal with it. And I do consider myself pretty strong, and that I can take this shit. I really can. But evidently, microgynon at this age, and one of the nurses at the clinic did say that as you get older, it does affect you differently, or it can affect you differently, which, yeah, clearly. And it was the fact I was so blasé about it because I've used it before. And it was the one thing that totally sent me all over the shop. You downplayed so much in your second cycle that you didn't even understand how you were feeling anymore. You just felt lost. I totally understand that. Yeah, totally. And sometimes you do just need to sit down and regroup and kind of work out how you are actually feeling. And actually, sorry to kind of make that change, but I haven't got a watch on today, or I haven't got my clock set up. I totally forgot it, so if anyone could keep time at 22, that would be amazing. You've downplayed a lot, but actually the process had a huge impact on your mental health. You can't do this anymore. It's such an overwhelming process. You are definitely not alone with that, and you know it can be like that with or without drugs, you know, definitely. And I have been at my lowest point when I don't think it was the drugs that were affecting me. So yeah, our mental health is a massive, massive issue in all of this. And yeah, just, it is overwhelming. It really is. And I had times, particularly over the last weekend, but I do have them at other times where I just think, I can't do this anymore. And one of my sisters actually said to me last night, she was like, when are you going to stop putting yourself through this? But, which I've never heard from any of them before. But I've been having a real thing, like my family are getting bored of me. Does that make sense? Does anyone else feel like that? That you're kind of like, why are you still going on about it? That sort of thing. And I don't know whether that's the drugs still in me making me feel like that, but it is overwhelming. It really is. And yeah, give me a call if you want to after this. You're more open about how you feel and accepting things were not okay. Good. And that is true. Sending love to everyone. Do you know what? It feels like that kind of day, doesn't it? It really does. It's a tough one, and I don't know, there's a lot of amazing BFPs out there, which is fabulous. But I do find that kind of tough sometimes. You know, it's like, when is it going to be my turn? Is it ever going to be my turn? And, you know, going into this round, it is, you know, I know I kind of said it the last time, but I swear I said it the last time because I thought that I was just so convinced I was going to get pregnant and it was all going to be okay. But I don't think we can do this again after this one. My mantra is that, you know, you can't make the decision until you're in that space. So, you know, explore things, look at things, have ideas, have conversations, but until you're actually in that space, that's when you can make the decision. And I would say kind of not when you're in the middle of taking lots of drugs and there's potential side effects, you know, that sort of thing. What does anyone else think? How has anyone else reacted to any drugs? So have you come off things? You know, I'm nervous that this is going to happen when I'm taking my down regs, really. But hopefully it won't. Hopefully it's just the microgynon. But I don't know how they swap things. Like I could come off the microgynon because they were using it as a placeholder, really, for my period. And they did say, which I don't know how I felt about this, but you know, that if I was an NHS patient, then they would want me to kind of, you know, they would want to know more specific dates. But because I'm private, then it's not such an issue. Oh gosh, hang on, lots coming through now. That's why we're here to support, exactly. I think that's why I love this community, but because I don't worry about people getting bored of my angst. Absolutely. Oh, is it time? Ah, gosh, wow. Really? I feel like I don't believe you if I check. Progesterone made you, I'm not sure what. Often feel like I have to justify everything to others about this process, just what it means practically and emotionally. Guilty too of being too brave, too strong, not letting them see you upset. And it's okay for that to happen, for them to see you. Right, so I guess that's time. So I'm going to go. I hope that was all right. I feel like I just spoke a lot then, so sorry about that. But send in any questions or anything. I hope it was useful. I hope it was helpful. And I hope, yeah, I'm just going to send a massive hug to everyone because I think we all need it. And thank you for being so incredible. You really are amazing. All right then. See you later. Bye-bye.